Good afternoon and welcome to this week's Small Business Town Hall conversation. We're having some technical difficulties today, so just want to give the disclaimer. So if you see my image going off, we're going to make sure to get right back. So we're having some challenges today, but we're here. I'm so glad that all of you are joining us today to talk about what is going on in the small business world and how can we assist our small business community. We have all the directors that participate every week with us. We're going to hear from Mark Hayward from the Small Business Administration. We're also going to be hearing from the director of the Department of Labor and Training, Matt Weldon, and the director from Business Regulation, Liz Tanner, is going to be joining us, as well as Chris Parisi, that always is part of this conversation, is keeping all of us engaged and talking. We're going to be also hearing today from a very interesting group. So we're going to hear from Barbara Jackson. Barbara is the executive director of We Make Rhode Island. And with Barbara, we're also going to have their partners, John Cairo, from the desk industry. So they're going to tell us about how they have been working to help the small business community. But before we move on to our director's presentation, just want to remind everyone that we still have to get everyone vaccinated. We're doing really good at the state of Rhode Island. We have an 87% of the adult population have gotten at least one shot, but we are not done yet. We have to make sure that we get everyone vaccinated. So remember to reach out to my office if you would like to set up a clinic in your business or in your association. Billy's information is going to be showing right below. Send us an email and we're going to make sure to make the connections. But with that, now, Ben, I just would like to bring over Director Hayward so we can hear what's the latest from the SBA.
Hello, Governor.
Hi, Director.
Oh, we got lots of information. Good to see you as well. By the way, I saw a lot of pictures of you having little strolls this weekend. I hope you didn't walk yourself out. You know, it's all exercise is good.
It's good. I went from Woonsocket to Situate, so we have Providence. So many good activities happening in this state.
I saw that. I was following you. So I have a lot of information today, Governor, so I'm going to try to get as much out. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of things that are time sensitive, and we want to make sure that we're getting as much information out as possible. Particularly, we only do this every 2 weeks. So if there are questions, then they can send it to, as Ben has put the address below. 74% of the people who had PPP loans have applied and who have applied and also been granted forgiveness under the PPP. I think that's really important because I want to establish that if you have a PPP loan, PPP1 or PPP2, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, please make sure that you're applying and you're getting forgiveness, because we're getting a couple of individuals who are getting caught. They've gone a little bit, 2 or 3 days beyond that 10-month period, and they got a bill for the loan. So it's not that they're not going to be forgiven, but we're just encouraging people, make sure that you're looking at the timelines, particularly for the Paycheck Protection 1, and then the second one hopefully will be automatic right behind that. So having said that, the COVID EIDL program, which was part of the CARES Act that goes back to March of 2020, will be coming to an end and on December the 31st. But having said that, in fact, we had a district directors meeting from the DDs from around New England, and we have some very experienced district directors, and we all looked at each other, and I said, listen, the way I read the legislation and the way I read the rule is that you must be funded. You must be funded by the agency prior to 12/31, which means that if it's a 45-day period, Governor, you got to start applying now. We understand that there are going to be some concerns. So I want to talk about COVID EIDL just a little bit, because COVID EIDL really is a critical element program. It's not a grant. It is a loan, but it's a loan to help replace the working capital that you're going to miss or you've been missing in a certain period of time. So it's for businesses, not for profits, sole proprietors, self-employed, and we're talking about those who have 500 employees or less. And it can go up to $2 million now. So it's been extended. So you cannot get 2 idle COVID loans. You can only get 1. So if you have an existing loan that you were capped out at 150,000 or 500,000 and you qualify for more, you need to go back into the portal and you need to make that request for the increase. So if you did not have a COVID idle loan, then you need to apply, and you need to apply at www.sba.gov/EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And Governor, what's really important here is because there are certain things that need to be done in order to get this loan. It's going to be cost of goods sold minus sales, and then they're going to do the how much. So if you only have a net profit of 50,000, you're not going to get 2 million. Let's be very candid about that. But you need to be realistic. If you need assistance, again, Ben has we'll put up the district office site. We thank you, Ben. We can come and you can ask questions and we will do our best. But really, what's really important, Governor, is that there are people out there right now who have not applied. If you end up getting the COVID idle loan, you have a 24-month hiatus, which means you will not pay anything for 24 months, which really gives a business an opportunity to use that working capital. And I had a discussion this morning with a Providence small business. Said, I really need 500,000, and I said, you need to go into the portal. We'll help you through that process. And they had not applied to this point, which was good for them. But they're at that point, Governor, where if they do not get that additional funding, working capital, then it could be an issue long term. Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to
so Mark, want to go back. So the individuals, the businesses can only get one of these loans, right? But
only one loan.
If someone already apply and they would like to increase the amount, they can go back to that application, correct?
They can go back into the portal and they can, and it's called idle increase, and they know how to manipulate the portal, and they need to ask for an increase. And then the loan officer who's around the country, a lot of them are working remotely, will look at that and they will make determinations. You still have to file your taxes. You still have to file an additional what we call 4506T, which is an IRS verification form. And Governor, the point that I want to make on that we're having lots of issues on the 4506Ts, the IRS, is it has to be exactly the way you filed your taxes. So even if you've moved from one location to another, you have to file based upon how you filed your taxes. And I'll give you an example. It may be absurd, but remember, we have to send this to the IRS. An individual filed 455 Jefferson Boulevard, and at the end of Boulevard, they put a period, Warwick, Rhode Island, and then the zip code. When they filed their 4506T, it said Jefferson Boulevard with no period, and had Warwick, Rhode Island. The difference of not having that period, IRS kicked it back. So, and you don't, that's why I'm saying, look at your filing and make sure it's exactly the way your filing is, and we won't have any problems on the 4506Ts. Governor, for some odd reason, we seem to be having a lot of issues with that. That's why we're trying to explain to people, just get it out there, get it, do it right, and we'll all be good. And the other thing is, I want to emphasize to people, this can only be used for working capital, to pay your rents, to pay your people, to pay expenses. This is not an investment tool where you can invest it and try to do arbitrage to get more money to pay back the loan. That's illegal. That's going to end up with the FBI and with the Inspector General. That's a no-no, because believe it or not, we've got those questions. This is not for you to expand your business. This is a working capital loan to replace the working capital that you've lost so that you can continue the business. So just a couple of things that, we really want to emphasize in, and I apologize for taking so much time today, but there's a lot of things that are very critical. I also want to So we've changed the fee structure for 7A loans as well. Now, a 7A loan is something that you get. It's a loan through a bank, through your traditional banker. And the fees for all loans of less than 350,000 is going to be zero. So that's really important because normally the agency would be moving forward with fees, but we also want to make sure that 350,000 is zero, and then the fee structure goes up from there. If you're in need of a regular SBA loan, don't hesitate to reach out to us, to reach out to your lenders. We will get you in contact with the lender within your institution, and not how do I say this being diplomatic? So you need to understand that not every branch office has a commercial lender who understands SBA lending. We have 37 partners here in the state of Rhode Island, and we funnel people to those individuals who have the knowledge of how does an SBA loan work. Remember, we're not guaranteeing your money. We're guaranteeing the bank's money to make sure that they will give you the loan and that you can secure the loan. And if something happens, we pay the bank.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is it's kind of like the right church and the right pew. If you get in the right church and don't get in the right pew, you're going to be going in circles. And we've had a number of people say, hey, listen, I called this XYZ lender and they said they know nothing about SBA. So that's because you need to call the SBA contact. And trust me, Governor, we are blessed with a lot of local banks and national banks here in the state of Rhode Island that understand SBA lending. We've done an abundant amount of lending, and on top of all of this idle loans. So we want to make sure people get what they need. And I mentioned this to Chris. Concern of mine is I saw a number of bankruptcies that were filed last week that we were notified of. We want to make sure that we keep our businesses up and running. And that's really important.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
No, thank you. Thank you for all that information and for what you're doing. And that's a great reminder. If any of the businesses that are watching right now, they would like to find a bank, just go straight to the website of the SBA and get one of the partners that you have been working with all along that understand the products that are available through the SBA. So thank you, Director, for all that information.
Thank you,
I
Governor.
want to do a quick check with Ben. Ben, is there any questions?
No questions today for you, Director.
I always fear when Ben comes into this equation because he's always got one coming from the side that I'm not sure I can answer. But Governor, thank you. Yes, that's right. But thank you, Governor. I appreciate everything.
Thank you so much, Mark. Great seeing you. All right, thank you. So next, we're going to hear from Director Matt Weldon from the Department of Labor and Training. So we want to hear, Director Weldon, what is new in the DLT? Anything new? Hi, Director Weldon.
So Matt might be, Director Weldon might be suffering from the same internet outage that you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move then to Director Liz Tanner. Is she in a different network?
I am. Hi, how are
you?
Good to see
Director
you.
Tanner, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
This is why I work from home, because I know my phone works at home or my computer works at home.
So we're having some technical difficulties today, technical challenges. So I'm connected using my phone. That's how I'm able to connect today. But Director Tanner, you and me have been going around visiting the small business community, the different chambers of commerce, and it's been great. It was great to be going in person, right?
It was fabulous being in person. And, you're such a dynamic speaker, to see you up there and engaging with people, and then I got to speak after you. That's always the hard part. But I'll tell you, it was really nice to be out and about talking to people. And, by looking at all the LinkedIn comments that people put, everybody was happy to be there. And I think they're just really happy to hear, what's been going on and how things are moving. So I'm really excited. We did the Northern Rhode Island Chamber last week, and I think we have the North Kingstown Chamber this week. So
this week, yeah.
So it'll be another good week. Except for they're all early in the morning. I don't know if we could bump them to later in the day, but anyhow, happy to be there.
Happy to be there for sure. But thank you. So tell us what's going on at the Department of Business Regulation. What is happening?
So, one of the things that people have been saying to me for years is, I wish there was an easier way to do business with the state, rather than having to go through every single website and entering my information over and over again. Everybody wants this simplified version. And so it's something that I'm super passionate about. I've spent a lot of time looking at what other states and other governments do, and nobody is really doing it great in America. But I have found some international examples. And so we're trying to copy what I've seen in one country where you have a single identifier. And so I use an example of a wheel, right? So in the middle is your digital identity, right? And so Liz Tanner, 123 Main Street, I put my information in once. And then ultimately all the different spokes of the wheel are different transactions with government. And so it's something that we've started at the Department of Business Regulation. It's using some new advanced blockchain distributed ledger technology that we're very, very excited about. And we've gotten to the point where we are testing out our first spoke on the wheel, which is to credential certified public accountants. And so we're looking for CPAs who have a real ID and who either have an Android or an Apple phone, because we need people to test out the app that we're creating that creates this digital identity, as well as the first spoke of the wheel. So that's what my ask is for today. So if anybody knows of any CPAs who have a real ID and an Android or an Apple phone, they should please reach out to me directly. And I'm hoping that Ben's going to be kind enough to put my information on the bottom of the screen, because we really want to test this out. Because, if successful and when successful, because I'm sure we'll keep working on it until it is successful, this is just the beginning, right? So the beginning of this wheel has started. You have the middle. We have our first spoke on the wheel. And then when successful, we'll continue to add more and more spokes on the wheel. And ultimately, you'll be able to do what we hope is the bulk of government transactions through one website instead of having to enter different websites. You'll recall that when we set up a restaurant, and maybe that's what I'll do the next time I come in, I'll show the restaurant website, but it's how to open up a restaurant. And there's at least 13 state websites to go on to open up a restaurant. Nonetheless, any federal or municipal websites that you have to go to, or sometimes you have to physically drive to a place and get a paper application, hand write it and send it in. So those are the things that we're trying to avoid. And so this is a very long and very complicated project, but this is the first thing that we're doing, and we're looking for some testers. So if anybody knows of a CPA who would like to test it out and become the first group of people to have a digital identity with the state, we would love to be connected with them. So thank you, Ben. He's got my email address down there below.
Yes, he did.
Feel free to email me directly and make that connection. So, and I'll keep you posted, because it's very, very exciting, the work that we're doing, but we're still just in the pilot stage trying to test it all out.
Thank you, Director. Thank you for always looking ways to solve problems that we're having in the state and for the business community. So thank you. So anyone that is a CPA, if you have a real ID, you have a phone, could be Android or an iPhone, please reach out to Director Tanner and help us be part of this pilot program to make sure that we improve the business climate within the state of Rhode Island. So make sure you reach out to Director Tanner. Thank you, Director. So with that, we're going to pass. I know that Director Matt Weldon is still having some challenges with the connection, but on his behalf, I want to remind everyone that you should go to the website backtoworkri.com. I see the Director. I was reminding everyone about backtoworkri.com. How you doing, Director?
I'm doing fine. Sorry, we're having all sorts of problems here now.
Yeah.
This is the best I can do, so I hope it works.
Thank you. It's working. So tell us, is anything new happening at DLT?
Sure. So just really quickly today, you were hitting it right on the head, backtoworkri.com. That's not a website that just has information. It's a virtual career center. And by virtual, I mean it's an opportunity for people to engage with people just like you and I are right now. One-on-one, human beings interacting with one another, talking about job opportunities, helping job seekers get connected to good, meaningful employment, helping employers. We can host virtual job fairs for employers. We can help find candidates for them. We can do recruitment, and it's all free. All you have to do is go to that website, set up a user account. So that's probably the hardest thing you have to do, and it's actually pretty simple. Register with the system, and then we can start helping you right away. You don't need to pay to advertise your jobs with somebody. You can do that with us for free. We want to help you. We know that there are a lot of people that were collecting unemployment that are not anymore, and we're trying to get them back into the workforce. I encourage all of them to use Back to Work RI, and I encourage employers to use it as well. The more that you work with us, the easier it will be for us to help you get talent.
Thank you, Director. And how's my favorite program doing?
The Workshare program, I assume.
Workshare program
is doing very well. And in fact, we're going to be talking, I just mentioned this last week at your Small Business Advisory Council meeting. We're going to convene some folks and talk about some more improvements. We changed it a few years ago to make it more flexible. Now we want to bring some new technology and make it easier to use, but we want to encourage people to use it. It's a great program. It provides a lot of benefit for people. And it will stay, despite the federal programs going away, Workshare is a constant in Rhode Island. It will stay permanently.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Director. Thank you for making the extra effort of finding a connection to join in. Truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Ben, is there questions for the Director?
Nope, no questions for the Director today. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Well done. Thanks. So next, we're going to hear from Chris Parisi. Chris, tell us, how's everything going with the small business community? What did you hear? What's the feedback that we should be paying attention to as government representing the people of the state of Rhode Island?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And I know you know, because you always have a pulse on the small businesses, and you've been visiting all 39 cities and towns to get an idea of what they're facing. And what I will say is what we're hearing from the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition is that although some industries and some businesses are doing fine and doing well, there's still a lot of small businesses struggling. And some are even claiming bankruptcy, shutting the doors. And we're concerned about the lack of funds that are being used that we have federally, right? So there's some small businesses that did not get quite the support, like the travel and tourism industry, and they can't wait till 2022 or the summer or even early 2022. They need help now, and the clock is ticking. So we reviewed the governor's amendment of what he proposed to the General Assembly of how to allocate just 10%, which again still leaves about $1 billion to utilize. 10% is even not that much, and still looking into it, right? If that 10%, 45 million would be allocated towards small businesses and getting that immediate financial assistance to businesses that have been hurt by the pandemic. That's incredibly important that we are in the House leadership and everyone takes a look into this very seriously and acts swiftly, because small businesses are running out of time, and we have this great recovery. We hear the Moody's report of how we're the top 5, top 6 in the country. Well, our fear is that if we do not continue to invest in our small businesses, it's going to drop and we're going to lose the momentum we have. So we need to have our leadership act quickly, and we appreciate the governor's proposal when it comes to financial technical assistance, as well as the other components of childcare and affordable housing, which also affects small businesses indirectly.
They do. All of those are challenges that I hear when I'm visiting a small business community. The challenges that they're having for the workforce to, in many cases, they're not able to come to work because they don't have childcare. So everything is connected in everything is affecting our small business community. So we're going to continue to work really hard. As you mentioned, the governor just sent that supplemental budget to the General Assembly, asking for a down payment of 10% on the federal funding available to be allocated in different areas, and a small business is a big part of it. So we want to continue to listen and to hear from all of you watching out there. Let us know your feedback, send it to us so we can hear from you. What are the things that you believe we should be doing? I know we also have been having the conversations of the Rhode Island, the 2030 conversations, and we got a lot of feedback through that. Also, you still can go to that website and send us feedback, because we want to hear directly from you. What is it that is affecting you? So Ben just added that. Thank you, Ben. So it's RI 2030, ri2030.com. Make sure that you go to the website and send us your feedback. So Chris, we have guests with us today. We're going to hear some important information I have Barbara Jackson, and she's Executive Director of We Make RI. And also we have John Kaito III from the Smart Industry. And are going to learn about what they're doing to help the small business community, especially in the manufacturing. So I just want to welcome both of you, Barbara and John, join us in this conversation. So good to see you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Our pleasure. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I wanted to ask you, can you give the audience brief descriptions of what We Make RI does and what is the mission?
Absolutely. We Make RI is set up to train people to go to work in manufacturing across all careers. So we know that there are other manufacturing training opportunities that through Back to Work Rhode Island have been funded. One of the differences that happens at We Make Rhode Island is we've discovered that most people don't really know what they want to do inside of manufacturing. So if you know that you want to be a CNC worker on a big machine, you can go to CCRI. If you know you want to be a welder or a CNC machinist, you can go to New England Tech to the SAMI program. But if you're just not really sure, because you don't know what manufacturing is all about anymore, since it's really different than when we were at Slater Mill, you come to We Make Rhode Island, we can help you explore a variety of different occupations. We train people in forklift. We train people in how to be a materials handler, how to do shipping, how to do pick pack, how to do kitting. Those are pick pack and kitting are huge in Rhode Island, and they pay very well. How to be a clean room tech. So we train people who actually work for one of the Rhode Island manufacturers that package up the supplies that when you get your vaccine, the med tech comes with that sterile package, and he or she opens it up, and there's a glove, and there's a bandage, and there's all that stuff. Well, that gets packaged in Rhode Island, and so you have to know how to work in a clean room to do that. We teach people how to be general production techs, how to be basic machinists, and how to be CNC machinists. But one of the other things that we do, and that's why John is here as our partner, is we teach people how to do industrial sewing, which is not the same thing as making a prom dress. John doesn't make prom dresses.
So that was my question. I wanted to ask you, okay, can you explain to me what is this industrial sewing program? What is it? Can you tell me more about it?
So in industrial sewing, we prepare people to go to work for John, who makes a lot of defense clothing with padding in it, and he can explain a little bit more about that. But we may also train you how to go to work for a company that makes awnings. We know, like the rolled awnings that you see advertised on TV, or the things that say "Welcome to DLT" or "Welcome to the Convention Center." Those kinds of awnings. So those are 100 feet long pieces of fabric that you have to be able to execute on. So one of the things that we focus on here at We Make Rhode Island is preparing people to use a variety of different types of very specific machines that do certain things, so that John doesn't have to train people how to use his machine. So you'll learn how to set up the machine, how to maintain the machine, how to change the thread, how to make the bobbins work. And the most important thing, and this is true across all manufacturing occupations that we teach people here, is production tempo. Because production tempo, which means doing something at a fairly rapid pace, but at a consistent pace for 8 hours a day. It's one thing to imagine, like if you've ever packed for 30 minutes. Well, we're talking about packing the turkey boxes for 8 hours. That's a whole different mindset and a whole different preparation. So in the morning, we have practice. We learn how to do something. We do it in the school setting. And then in the afternoon, we go to our manufacturing shop and we actually work for a couple hours doing real manufacturing. And people get paid to do that real manufacturing. So then after we have deemed someone to be proficient, we put them into employers like John's. And all of our employer partners are small employers, and they don't have time to be doing the fundamentals of training. They need to be doing their business. So they come and they partner with us. John is in our shop about once every other week, checking out who's here, making sure who he wants to bring over. It's like matchmaking. We have to make sure that we, John had said earlier, get the right pew in the right church. I mean, it's not just, okay, I want to go to work, send me to a factory. We have to make sure that we get them in the right factory. So,
John, how long have you been partnering for this program, John?
John, how long have you been partnering with We Make RI?
We've been doing it now probably for about a year and a half, I believe. Barbara, is that about?
I would say about a year and a half, yeah.
And it really started off, I was kind of skeptical at the beginning because it's so hard to teach people how to sew. I mean, it's one thing threading the machine, changing the bobbins, all the fundamentals part. That takes weeks alone just to be able to train someone to be able to do that and to be able to pick up, what's right and what's wrong with the machine when we have machine problems. And a lot of times it's done by the operator. So they give us a really great head start when it comes to training people. Because to get a really good stitcher, it takes years to train them. They have to go through all the different procedures, different products that we make, and it's always changing. So it's been a great program for us. It's really moved along. We're super excited about it. We've actually hired people and we're able to retain them in the factory, which has been difficult. We employ about 54 people right now. Probably could use another 25 to 30 at this point. We're turning away work that's going to other states. We got a lot of projects that we could be bringing to Rhode Island and growing that workforce. So we do, production sewing, but there's also upholstery work also that they're lacking trained people to be able to go into the upholstery area. And I've talked to a lot of people, they're getting older, they're 60s, 70s, and they're doing upholstery, but they don't have anybody else to fall back on. So I'm hoping that this program, as it grows, we've been learning more and more every week that goes by. So it's really a great program, and it has a long ways to grow, and it's a great program for us.
Thank you. Thank you, John, for that testimony. It's so great to hear how this partnership is working. So I just want to go back to Barbara. And Barbara, can you please tell us some success story? We'll just hear from John, just one, but any other stories that you can share with us about the program?
Well, I think last year, even during COVID, we trained over 200 people, so that was good. We trained about 45 people in sewing. That's really good for John and the people in Rhode Island who are still needing industrial sewers. But one of the things I love about the industrial sewing program and also about our what we call dimensional imprinting. So dimensional imprinting might be embroidery or dye sublimation or a crossover program that combines some sewing with some dye sublimation so that we can make things like can koozies like this. So this was white. Someone designed it. It says having trouble doing this backwards. It says picnic time and there's some ants on it. And then it was stitched by our students. And that's part of how we teach production tempo. So you have to do 35 of these in a minute. And they have to be straight and they have to be seamed. And that's what John needs in his factory. So our success stories when we combine those two programs are that the people who are interested in doing that type of manufacturing work are not people who would typically come to manufacturing training. So the typical trainee that we get, if they're going to be a machinist or if they're going to be a materials handler, are the generally guys, generally exactly who you would imagine going into manufacturing training. They're people who are like working with their hands and they can lift stuff and they enjoy that type of environment. The people who enjoy doing this and working for John are not those guys. So it provides a much broader group of individuals an opportunity to earn a paycheck that's at least 40 hours a week with paid benefits, with 11 holidays a year that are paid, and with 1 or 2 weeks of vacation time that's paid. So it's really expanded who we can attract into these training programs. And if you wouldn't mind, Lieutenant Governor, I would like to say that our training program is every other Monday. So next Monday would be the every other Monday. And
All right.
every other Monday, as long as you're signed up ahead of time, you can come in here and you can take a training program that could be as short as 7 business days or as long as 12 weeks if you want to be a CNC person or a sewer. And we have a really excellent placement rate.
And quick question, Barb, what's
Yes,
the
Chris?
cost for someone that would want to apply to this program?
So because of Real Jobs and Back to Work Rhode Island, the big goose egg is Rhode
I like that.
So
Like that.
you have to be willing to go to work. I mean, it's a real training program, so we might ask you to leave if you don't have the proper attitude. But one of the things that is different about our program is that because we have people who may be going to work for the first time, or they may be career switching from back of house hospitality to frontline manufacturing worker, we have a forgiveness policy where you may think that everything's buttoned up and you're ready to return to work. But then we find out that mother-in-law is not really willing to take care of the kids, or the daycare program had to close down. So what we do, we put a pause on it. And once everything gets back in order, you just pick up where you left off. So we have people who are returning from time to time because, life isn't perfect. Particularly now, life isn't perfect. So you don't have just one and done with us, as long as you're really willing to go to work at the end.
Lieutenant Governor, I have
Chris,
one last question, if
go
that's
ahead.
all right, to
Yeah, sure.
John. As a small business owner in the manufacturing industry, is finding skilled workers and retaining them your number one issue currently?
Yes. Yep. It's always been that way. It's gotten better. Last year was a little better. We were hiring quite a few people, but then once COVID hit, it made it worse. And now it just seems like nobody's answering any ads, very few. It's a hard process, like we were talking about earlier, to actually train people to be able to do this. We've had people come from other industries that have wanted to get into it, and they have, and they succeeded. And, we're pretty much like a training school. When we get them from Barbara, we still have to train them. They get moved into different areas, and they're always, moving forward. But trying to get them through the door is always difficult. At least with Barbara's program, that they show what to expect in the manufacturing area. So they have a really good idea what to expect in that job.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Barbara, for We Make Our Ride. Definitely helps and supports our small businesses, as we can
So
tell
any
with John.
businesses should reach out to us that are manufacturing businesses that need help. Just reach out. We do have a job fair at the last Thursday of every month. So if an employer wants to come and be part of our job fair, just give me calls on everything. That's the big goose egg too.
So, Barbara, so what would be the phone number or the website that people can go to?
Sure. Our website is wemakeouri.com. So it's pretty easy to remember that one. And our phone number is 232-0077, and my extension is 101.
Thank you, Barbara. I just want to do a check-in thank you, Ben, who just added the website and the phone number. Ben, do we have any questions? Because, I'm using my phone. I'm not so savvy like Chris is to go back and forth between my messages. So I just wanted to check if you have any comments or any questions.
No questions for them, but wonderful job, everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again, Barbara and John, for being here with us today. Thank you for this important information. And thank you, Chris, for always being the voice, bringing the voice of the business community to us. Always so good to be here with you. I just want to remind everyone that thank you for tuning in today. In our next time when we get together, it's going to be October 26th. We're going to be presenting a bunch of resources coming up every week when we get together. We're going to be talking about small business resources available. We're going to be bringing individuals from Skills for Rhode Island Futures. We're going to be bringing from the Center for Women's and Enterprise. We're going to be bringing individuals also from E4All. So there's so many resources available out there that many of you don't know about, and we're going to be bringing this information to you. So with that, I just want to say thank you everyone for tuning in, and see you on the 26th.